Hello. നമസ്കാരം. മടപ്പള്ളി ഗവൺമെന്റ് കോളേജും MR നാരായണ കുറുപ്പിന്റെ കുടുംബവുമായി സഹകരിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് വർഷത്തിൽ നടത്തി വരാറുള്ള MR നാരായണ കുറുപ്പ് സ്മാരക പ്രഭാഷണത്തിന്റെ രണ്ടാം എഡിഷനാണ് നമ്മൾ ഇപ്പോൾ സാക്ഷ്യം വഹിക്കുന്നത്. മടപ്പള്ളി ഗവൺമെന്റ് കോളേജിന്റെ ഡയമണ്ട് ജൂബിലിയുടെ ഭാഗമായി തീരുമാനിച്ച് ആണ് ഇങ്ങനെയൊരു സ്മാരക പ്രഭാഷണം നടത്താൻ നമ്മൾ ആലോചിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. മടപ്പള്ളി ഗവൺമെന്റ് കോളേജിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം കഴിഞ്ഞ 60 വർഷക്കാലത്തിലേറെയായി ഉത്തര മലബാറിൽ എന്നല്ല കേരളത്തിലെ തന്നെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഒരു ഉന്നത വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ കേന്ദ്രമായി മാറിക്കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. NAC ഉൾപ്പെടെയുള്ള ദേശീയ ഏജൻസികളുടെ മികച്ച ഗ്രേഡിംഗ് ഇതിനോടകം കോളേജ് സ്വായത്തമാക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. 1958 കേരളത്തിലെ പ്രഥമ ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഉത്തര മലബാറിൽ ഏത് രീതിയിലുള്ള സർക്കാർ സംവിധാനമാണ് വേണ്ടത് എന്ന് ഈ പ്രദേശത്തുള്ള പൗരപ്രമുഖരോടും പൊതുജനങ്ങളോടും അഭിപ്രായമാരായുകയും ഈ പ്രദേശത്തിന് ഏറ്റവും അടിയന്തരമായി വേണ്ടത് ഒരു ഉന്നത വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ കേന്ദ്രമാണ് എന്നുള്ള വലിയ ബോധ്യമുള്ള ഒരു കൂട്ടം ഉൽപ്പതിഷ്ഠുക്കളായിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകൾ ഈ പ്രദേശത്തുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അവരെ അന്ന് നയിച്ചത് ഒഞ്ചിയം പഞ്ചായത്തിന്റെ അന്നത്തെ പ്രസിഡന്റായിരുന്ന MR നാരായണ കുറുപ്പായിരുന്നു. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ വ്യക്തിപരമായ ജീവിതത്തെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് നമ്മൾ പരാമർശിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഒരു ഹിന്ദി പ്രചാരകനായി തുടങ്ങി ദേശീയ സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യ സമരത്തിന്റെ ഭാഗമായി പ്രവർത്തിച്ച് പിന്നീട് KPCCയിൽ അംഗമാവുകയും അതിനുശേഷം കോൺഗ്രസ് സോഷ്യലിസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ടിയുടെ ഭാഗമായി പ്രവർത്തിക്കുകയും ചെയ്തു എന്നതാണ്. അതിനിടയിലാണ് ഈ പ്രദേശത്ത് ശക്തി പ്രാപിച്ചു വന്നിട്ടുള്ള ഇടതുപക്ഷ കമ്മ്യൂണിസ്റ്റ് പ്രസ്ഥാനവുമായി ചേർന്ന് നിൽക്കാൻ അദ്ദേഹം തീരുമാനമെടുക്കുന്നത്. ആ രൂപത്തിലാണ് ഒഞ്ചിയം പഞ്ചായത്തിന്റെ പ്രസിഡന്റായി അദ്ദേഹം മാറിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. ഈ പ്രദേശത്തിന്റെ ആകെ വികസനത്തിന് വേണ്ടുന്ന ഒട്ടേറെ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ ഇവിടെ നടപ്പിലാക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നതാണ്. അതിൽ ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ടതാണ് 1958 സ്ഥാപിക്കപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുള്ള ഗവൺമെന്റ് കോളേജ് മടപ്പള്ളി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ സ്മരണ നിലനിർത്താൻ നമ്മളൊരു സ്മാരക പ്രഭാഷണം നടത്താൻ തീരുമാനിച്ചു. ഒന്നാമത്തെ പ്രഭാഷണം കഴിഞ്ഞ വർഷം ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ബുക്കർ സമ്മാന ജേതാവായിട്ടുള്ള ഗീതാഞ്ജലി ശ്രീയാണ് നിർവഹിച്ചത്. എഴുത്തുകാരന്റെ കടമകൾ എന്ന വിഷയത്തെ അധികരിച്ചാണ് അവർ സംസാരിച്ചത്. ഒരുപക്ഷെ രാജ്യത്ത് ഉള്ള പ്രമുഖരായ വ്യക്തികളെ നമ്മുടെ ക്യാമ്പസിനകത്തുള്ള അക്കാദമിക് സമൂഹത്തിന് പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തുകയും അവരുമായി സംവദിക്കാനുമുള്ള വലിയ ഒരു അവസരമാണ് നമുക്ക് ഈ ഒരു സ്മാരക പ്രഭാഷണത്തിലൂടെ ലഭിക്കുന്നത്. ഈ വർഷം നമുക്ക് സ്മാരക പ്രഭാഷണം നടത്താൻ ലഭിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത് ഡോക്ടർ അർഫ ഖാനം ഷെർവാണിയാണ്. Arfa Khanum Sherwani is a prominent figure of Indian media right now. She is the senior editor of the Wire magazine. I'm sure that most of us do frequently watch what the Wire is doing. They are trying to bring forth the freedom of speech and expression. Especially Dr. Arfa Khanum Sherwani is trying to underline the necessity to uphold the value of democracy. She is in the forefront of bringing forth the issues of the people who live in the margins. She is a champion of advocating the demands and the plight of minorities who are living in the different parts of our country. She has won several international and national awards, and she is a frequent speaker at various national and international universities. I'm not taking much time since we are running out of time. On behalf of the organizing committee of the MR Memorial Lecture, I am wholeheartedly welcome you ma'am to the campus. This session will be presided over by our respected principal, Dr. Prida ma'am, and she is a source of inspiration and support to all of us to organize this program. On behalf of the organizing committee, I welcome you ma'am to this function. We have invited guests from different parts of the state. There are culture activists, political leaders, former teachers of our college, and I welcome all of these dignitaries to this function. And this session is meaningful as when the students are interacting with the resource person. I invite and I welcome all the students, teachers and everyone to this function, and I request our respected principal to chair the function. Thank you.
Our chief guest, Dr. Arfa Khanum Sherwani, convener of the organizing committee, Dr. Jinesh PS, ഇവിടെ വന്നെത്തിച്ചേർന്നിട്ടുള്ള നമ്മുടെ ശ്രീ MR നാരായണ കുറുപ്പിൻ്റെ ഫാമിലി മെമ്പേഴ്സ്, മറ്റ് പ്രമുഖരെ, അധ്യാപകരെ, വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളെ, അപ്പം നമ്മളിവിടെ രണ്ടാമത്തെ അനുസ്മരണ ലെക്ചറിന് സാക്ഷ്യം വഹിക്കുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതിന് നമുക്ക് നല്ലൊരു പ്രമുഖ വ്യക്തിയെ തന്നെയാണ് ഇവിടെ കിട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. അതിനുവേണ്ടി ശ്രമിച്ച എല്ലാവരെയും അഭിനന്ദിക്കേണ്ടിയിരിക്കുന്നു. നമ്മുടെ കോളേജിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു അവസരം എല്ലാ കുട്ടികൾക്കും ടീച്ചേഴ്സിനും ഒക്കെ നമ്മുടെ ചീഫ് ഗസ്റ്റിനെ പരിചയപ്പെടാനും അതുപോലെ ഇൻട്രാക്ട് ചെയ്യാനുമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു അവസരം, നല്ലൊരു അവസരമാണ് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. പിന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ഫൗണ്ടർ ഓഫ് ദ കോളേജ് ശ്രീ MR നാരായണ കുറുപ്പ്, അവരെ അതുപോലെ കുറച്ച് പേര് MR നാരായണ കുറുപ്പിൻ്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിലാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഈ കോളേജ് സ്ഥാപിതമായിട്ടുള്ളത്. അപ്പോൾ അതിന് പുറകിൽ കുറച്ച് പേര് പ്രവർത്തിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. MR നാരായണ കുറുപ്പിൻ്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ അവരുടെ ഒരു കമ്മിറ്റിയാണ് നമ്മുടെ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ മന്ത്രിയെ, അന്നത്തെ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ മന്ത്രിയെ കാണുകയും ഇങ്ങനെയൊരു സ്ഥാപനത്തിൻ്റെ പ്രാധാന്യം അറിയിക്കുകയും ചെയ്തു. അതോടൊപ്പം അതിനുവേണ്ടി 25 ഏക്കർ സ്ഥലവും അതുപോലെ എമൗണ്ടും വേണമായിരുന്നു. അതിൻ്റെയൊക്കെ പുറകിൽ കുറേ പേര് ശ്രമിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇതിന് നേതൃത്വം നൽകിയ ശ്രീ MR നാരായണ കുറുപ്പിൻ്റെ ആ ഒരു എഫേർട്ടിനെ നമുക്ക് എത്ര അഭിനന്ദിച്ചാലും മതിയാവില്ല. എന്തായാലും ഇത് നമ്മുടെ സെക്കൻഡ് ലെക്ചർ സീരീസ് ആണ്. കഴിഞ്ഞ വർഷവും ഇതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ഗീതാഞ്ജലി ശ്രീയെ ആണ് കൊണ്ടുവന്നിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. അതും വളരെ പ്രമുഖമായ ഒരു വ്യക്തിത്വമായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ഈ പ്രാവശ്യം നമുക്ക് ഇതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഡോക്ടർ അർഫ ഖാനും ഷെർവാനിയെ കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പം നിങ്ങളത് ഏറ്റവും നന്നായിട്ട് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുക. So I'm not talking much about this program because time is already 12:30. So I heartily invite you for the lecture. don't want this to be bashed. Only when I want to play, then you can play.
So that means we can operate it.
Should I send you the link?
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I have sent you the links.
Just send me the link.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm taking.
Yeah, I don't want this. Yeah. Only you can play when I want you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you, and sorry for the delay caused by various factors, some under my control, some are not. And thank you for bringing me back to Kerala. My inability to not understand Malayalam enough, I hope I make sense to you. So last time I was here was in 2021 and also 2016, so I have covered the last two consecutive elections in Kerala. Happy to be back in God's own country. I'm sure you get to hear this a lot, but one more time, why not? You've invited me, I feel, at a very strange time. It's strange in a sense, religion is now an axis around which the parliament is revolving. Politicians are deciding how and when to build a temple. They are telling the faithfuls how to pray, how not to pray. On news channels, you see Ram Leela being played. Comedians are doing political commentary. Netflix series, and through the films and series they are making, through which you are actually getting to see some of the political messaging. So while news channels are busy doing entertainment, the entertainment industry is trying to do some kind of political messaging. These are very, very strange times, and I feel it's difficult to make sense of what is happening in India right now. People who are the religious priests are making political comments, and people like the Prime Minister of India, who are supposed to be in the parliament, taking care of the country, you know, being at the center of accountability, especially when he's completing 10 years tenure, 10 years time, which I feel in a human's life, in a country's life, in a society's life, is a big milestone. But he is roaming around, you know, being like a god himself who can't be questioned. So he is going to the gods, and the journalists are thinking he is like a god who can't be questioned. So it's a very strange time, and even for someone like me and many of you who've been following Indian politics closely, we thought maybe as of now, after 10 long years, we have developed a thick skin and we can take a lot. But it feels like it's a new country. It feels like a lot of things which are happening are new. So I'm very happy to be here to deliver the second M.R. Narayana Kurup Memorial Lecture. It's a very prestigious thing for me. It's a great honor. So before I start on the subject, which is media, monopolies, communalism, and future of democracy, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I was just telling Abhilash that, you know, the thing about journalists who work in Hindi language or any, it would be
blasphemy to say that Hindi is a regional language, but when you come to Kerala, you realize, yes, Hindi is no national language, it is a regional language. So being part of regional language, no matter how much I think I'm a national journalist, but here in Kerala you realize the limitation and scope of the language that you work in. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, who I am, where I come from, so that you get a better perspective on who this person is and why she does what she does. I was born and raised in a small town in western Uttar Pradesh. At the age of 12, in 1992, Babri Masjid was demolished. I saw all of this taking place in front of me. So in more ways than one, I have been a victim and a witness of 1992 communal riots. So for someone like me, right now, what I see all around me, it's distressing for me like it is for you, but it's also particularly triggering for someone like me. I had to literally leave my home to save my life and that of my brother, who was less than 2 months old. He was born late October and this happened early December. And he was in my lap and I had to literally run to save my life and that of my brother. So this one incident, it changed the whole course of my life. Who I was, what I wanted to do, and what I actually could be, like my possibilities of who I could be, no matter what I wanted to be. So at the age of 12, it made me realize of the limitations as well as the possibilities that surrounded me and my life. So coming from a small town, I saw inequalities, I saw violence against women at a very early age, and I realized that women and religious minorities actually had no voice. Because when I opened newspapers, I saw people like me were not represented in those newspapers. When I opened news channels, I felt my voice was not there. So this was perhaps one of the most defining factors of why I decided to become a journalist, why I decided to write my own stories when I realized the stories of people like me were not represented in newspapers and in news channels. So when I look back in retrospect, that was not a pleasant episode, a pleasant incident that happened. When I had to literally be aware of who I was at the age of 12, when it was time for me to play like all other kids. But my classmates, for them it was a holiday, and for me I was looking for refuge to save my life. So it kind of matured me, pushed me, forced me to mature before my age. And that's why this is one of the defining factors. Then I came to Delhi when I was in my late teens. I did a one-year course in journalism and I came to Delhi in search of work. I come from I would say, a considerably progressive and a liberal family. Education was never a problem. Women's education was also not a problem. Then when I came here, I saw, women driving their own lives, their own cars, a city full of lights, flyovers, and I saw the immense possibility of what I could be, I could become. Sadly, when I see today's India, and I think of not just one Arfa who made this leap of faith in the year 2000, about 23 years ago. If I think of many other Arfas who would be thinking of coming to national capital or going to big cities to find a career or life for themselves, I am not very hopeful whether they are going to get the same treatment, they are going to meet the same kind of people who can help be who I could become. Because I am not a story in myself. I could become who I am because of the people who helped me. Because of wonderful friends, wonderful editors, journalists, a very supportive newsroom. All of this helped me reach where I am right now. Things have changed drastically and for worse. that I feel it's very difficult for any other Arfa to come from a small town, from Uttar Pradesh or Bihar or Maharashtra, go to a big city with my identity and my kind of social and political background to do what I could do. So I started off with a couple of newspapers, and very early I realized that TV was my call. TV news was my call, and this is what I wanted to do. I worked briefly with NDTV, where I was trained by best of the TV journalists possible in a wonderful, supportive newsroom. But then Wire finally was the place where I thought I found my home. It was a newsroom where the diversity that I brought to the table was not just tolerated, but in many ways, it was also celebrated. And I felt completely at home, and I could say what I wanted to say. And that is why the work I do, you see the confidence in me, that I don't feel that I have to censor myself. I don't feel that I have to be someone else. I have to please anybody, or I have to take care of the background that I come from. I feel completely at home. So it's a wonderful thing for me to be able to be associated with The Wire. And in a way, my work also freed me. I use this word very carefully. The dark era and the dark days that I had to live when I was in my hometown. My work, which is my greatest passion, it's the singular axis around which my life revolves. And it also, in many ways, freed me from the prison of my past life. Now I'm coming to the subject: media, monopolies, communalism, and future of democracy. I'm going to touch upon a couple of points here. One is that how media is actively creating a communal society, not just reflecting, creating a communal society, helping a communal polity, and impacting India's future and democratic future particularly. So as you know, Narendra Modi is completing 1 decade as the Prime Minister, and as I said, 10 years is a big milestone in a country's life, in a politician's life, in people's lives. And I feel it is the time when 1.4 billion people, they deserve accountability from a man who has governed the country for the past 10 years. And this is especially the time to scrutinize, not just because there is this person called Narendra Modi at the center of affairs, but because it should have been the case with any Prime Minister in question. Usually this had been the tradition, as journalists should do their jobs. This is why they are there. But sadly, this is not happening. I feel this is a time when journalists should be scrutinizing the government, Mr. Modi, his party BJP, and ask them for accountability, for answerability. Tough questions they should be asking, especially on behalf of the people who live on the margin of our democracy, like the farmers, like the laborers, like women, youth, religious minorities, and India's poor, and people from the Northeast, people from Jammu and Kashmir. All of these people who have lived on the margins of Indian democracy, they need answers from the people in power. And so I'm going to list out a few questions that I feel the media is not asking right now. And that's also going to give you a bigger picture on where we are now, 10 years from where we started, 2020 to 2014 to 2024, 10 years timeline, and the questions those should be asked. And especially, these questions must be asked from someone who says in 10 years, him and his party has made India the Vishwa Guru, the global leader. Ravi Shankar Prasad, the former Union Minister, he said that Narendra Modi actually managed to stop the Russia-Ukraine war for 3 hours to provide a safe passage to Indian medical students who were stuck in conflict zone. Have you heard about that? So they have made a claim that something which United States couldn't do, which UK couldn't do, the whole entire world couldn't do. But Mr. Modi managed to stop the war for 3 hours so that Indian students could get a safe passage to come back home. And you must have also watched the videos of those students when they were stuck in Ukraine and also when they were trying to come back home, how they took their flights, etc. But I'm saying that if they think that he's so powerful, then more the power, more the accountability, right? Isn't it? The more powerful you are, the more accountability we ask from you. So a few questions that I feel should be asked from Mr. Modi. One, the question of hunger and unemployment in Modi's Amrit Kal. So Narendra Modi says, Modi ki guarantee hai. This is Modi's guarantee. And what is Modi's guarantee? So Narendra Modi is saying that India will become third largest economy when he gets the third term. You must have heard this a few times by now. But do you know that in Global Hunger Index, 2023 Global Hunger Index, it saw India slip 4 places to rank 111 out of 125 countries. Out of 125 countries, in Global Hunger Index, India is at 111. And this is the Prime Minister of this country who says that India has become a world power, a Vishwa Guru, and India is going to become the third largest economy when he gets the third term. And 3 and 3, you know, he likes to rhyme. And he feels this third term is already divinely ordained upon him, and which to me now does not look like an impossibility. Second question. So this fastest growing economy, which is, he says, is going to become the third largest by 2028, as per Mr. Modi, one of his ministers said in the parliament that 80 crore people are being provided grains, daily ration. So it is a country where out of 1.4 billion, 140 crore, 80 crores are being provided daily meals. They depend on the government for their daily food, to put food on the table. Now imagine a country, leave aside for a moment that this can't be the fastest growing economy and it can't become the third largest economy, etc., etc. Just think of those 80 crore people who are getting daily grains, rice, wheat, even oil for that matter, sometimes even the cooking gas. And for all of that, they depend on the government. Now think about them, their dignity, their place in Indian democracy, whether they will be able to think on their own. When you depend on your daily food on the government, can you make your own decisions? Can you keep your dignity intact? Can you be your own master? So this basically, in just one single number, you give away the story of India right now. This undemocratic decision